Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women in Cleantech Executive Leadership Workshop, Leading with Confidence. We are very excited to be with you today, and we are lucky to have Pam Sammarco here with us to lead the workshop. My name is Joey Scholl, the Events Director for WCS. Next slide, please. A little Zoom etiquette before we start. You're probably pretty familiar with it after just about 3 years of virtual meetings, but a few reminders. Please write your full name in the participants section. Turn on your video if you feel comfortable doing so. We love to see your faces. And volunteers, please add an asterisk next to your name. We encourage you to put your LinkedIn profile and a quick introduction in the chat and connect with other attendees. The more you get involved and active during the event and follow up after the event, the more you benefit. Next slide, please. So who we are. WCS is a nonprofit originally founded in the San Francisco Bay Area. We're now in 13 countries and have a membership base of more than 500 professional men and women. The organization, the goal of the organization is to support women in their careers in the clean tech industry. WCS is celebrating its 12 years, which is pretty impressive considering we're a nonprofit primarily run by our volunteers. And what we do at WCS, we have monthly events such as panels, happy hours, and social events. And we switched to virtual events during the pandemic, but we're working on moving back to in-person, so please stay tuned. And we have a mentorship program, which wrapped up last month, and the new WCS eCircle program designed for entrepreneurs. The second cohort begins at the end of June. And our annual flagship event, WCS Talks, a TED Talk style event hosted in the fall. Next slide, please. And speaking of events, here are our upcoming events. May 4th, we have the second delivery of this event during the lunch hour for our East Coast audience, or anyone that missed this one, so tell your friends. May 18th, we'll be hosting a table at the MyUSGBC conference in LA. And following that conference, we have a spring social in LA, Alameda, Phoenix, and Denver. June 8th, in case you happen to be in Copenhagen or Brussels, we'll be hosting a summer social in those cities. And June 9th is our annual pitch competition. Registration is open, so come check it out. Next slide, please. In case you're not yet a member of WCS, I encourage you to sign up. Just scan the QR code to do so. Feel free to reach out to me or any other WCS members or volunteers on the call if you have any questions about membership. Next slide, please. And today's moderator or presenter is one of our board members, Pam Sammarco. Pam is the CEO and founder of Green Training Associates, a full-service talent development firm. Green Training Associates works to develop people's capabilities to solve the world's challenges and accelerate sustainable business growth by providing training, leadership development, coaching, career paths, and mentoring solutions. They serve clean tech and renewable energy, green buildings, environmental science, technology, food, future tech waste, water, sustainability, and life sciences industries. Pam, we are so fortunate to have you with us today. Please take it away.
All right. Well, good afternoon and welcome. Allow me to pull up my slide deck. I have just put in our chat 2 handouts for today's session as we get started. So make sure you can access those and download them. We're going to use them later, so no worries. But thank you all for joining us, and I'm delighted to be with you today. I would like to thank WCS and Joey for inviting me to facilitate this workshop for you today. Your commitment and dedication and participation in this workshop shows that you're thought leaders for your careers and desire to solve the world's challenges. Who's ready to get started? All right. Well, first things first, let's offer each other a virtual heart handshake. I invite you to do that to build our social connection and our sense of community. So one way to build confidence is to speak out loud an affirmation about your superpower or yourself. So when you see this purple Let's Talk slide come up, this is an opportunity for you to type in the chat. We've got Anka, who is going to be our chat monitor. Open your mic if you feel inclined and encouraged to speak. But you're going to see this slide come throughout the program. And this is an opportunity for us to get to know each other and to make conversation, in addition to 2 activities that we have for you this afternoon that are skill building. So pick a power name for yourself, type it in the chat, tell us why you chose that name. So when you speak these words, it's about courage and confidence and really knowing what your top strength is, and establishing that affirmation and saying it out loud is awesome. So we invite you to do so. How are we doing, Anka? Any power names coming up in the chat?
You have one, Queen P. Nice. Mission leader, Julie. Energy leader, Jacqueline. Love it.
Awesome. It gives you a voice, which is what's so important and so powerful about this activity.
Energy enthusiast, community leader.
Nice.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Excellent. Well, keep those ideas coming as we'll move forward with our agenda for today. So we're in the introduction. Then I have the business case for action that improves gender inclusivity, promotion, and sponsorship, along with the top 7 women leadership challenges. These are eye-opening and they're stage setting for you to think about what your challenges are, what you personally need to do. And then we're going to move into talking about creating your professional visibility, developing your elevator pitch. We'll have a practice of your elevator pitch. That's one of the 2 handouts that I just popped into the chat for you. Networking, aspirational career conversations, and an activity around the aspirational career conversation practice. So we were going to give you a guide. That's the other hands out. And these are essential elements and foundational to your careers. Then we'll do the 6 factors of workplace success, questions and open discussion, and we'll close. So we have a value-packed agenda for you. Let's get started with our program. So here's our first Let's Talk slide, our second Let's Talk slide. What are you curious to learn about today? Given that agenda, what brought you out? Feel free to respond in the chat or open your microphone briefly. What brought you here? How's our chat going, Anka?
We have, Julie said, always have room to improve and polish the pitch. Punum, enhance my leadership skills. For me, it's I want to grow. I want to become a better self, better tomorrow than I was yesterday. Susanna, I'm a big fan of WCS events and hoping to become a more confident and effective leader. Stephanie, defining confidence for women.
Excellent. Well, those are fantastic goals, growth mindset, continuous improvement. All of those are excellent. And I'm inviting you to, be a sponge today and also contribute to support each other. So here's where you have an action plan. I'm inviting you to create your action plan today. It's going to be raining new ideas. So get your umbrellas out and your notepad to catch all the best practices and your light bulb moments. That will be your practical actions to make intentional change and form new habits. So we're going to help you move through the process from left to right. We're going to flow through the learning part, your goals, you start intentional change, you plan actions and habits that drive you to success. So starting now, find ideas that motivate you to change. Collect ideas for at least 3 actions to take with you today. So this is essential because guess what? If you set forth an intention and then you start to actualize that, then you're transferring your training outside of the session back to the real world. And that's where we make our growth mindset and improvements happen. So these are my inspirational words for you. So on the left, we're here today to inspire and empower you to innovate, lead, and uplift yourself and others toward a more equal and inclusive workplace for your current job experience and your lifelong career success. So it's time to step forward on the right with confidence, capability, and credibility, because women leaders should build your careers with aspirations to do what you love, be whomever you want to be, and be successful. So I invite you to embrace those words as we look at the business case for action to improve gender inclusivity, promotion, and sponsorship of women leaders. So using my love of benchmarking and researching trends, this section is going to engage your strategic view of the business case. And we're going to jump in, we're hopefully we'll jumpstart your thinking with ideas for yourself and for your organization and for women in leadership programs that you may be involved in, because this is eye-opening stuff. So diversity and inclusivity is all over organizations. It's a top business priority. And here's why. We've got two researchers quoted here that tell us what the business case is. From McKinsey, gender diverse companies are 15% more likely to outperform their peers. Ethnically diverse companies are 35% more likely to do the same. So this is a competitive edge. When you have a diverse and inclusive workforce, your innovation is better, different perspectives are brought in, expertise, and different walks of life all contribute to the success of a company today, which are why they're multi-diverse, multi-cultural, multi-generational workforces that are blended together. And when a company optimizes their talent strategy, guess what? That's what makes this powerful, diversity and inclusivity being a top business priority. When we look at the Catalyst research at the bottom here, companies with more women on the board statistically outperform their peers over a long period of time. So women contribute to be very powerful board officers that will then enhance and accelerate a longer term strategy and success of a company. So it's essential for us to thinking about taking this topic seriously, which many do, which is why women in leadership programs are proliferating across many top organizations. And these are the statistics that are driving it, because the competitive advantages that are there, the good business cases here. Now, that said, here's where some of the challenging news comes in. So female Fortune 500 CEO growth is very limited. It's very slow upward trend. So right now, there's only 37 CEO women of 500 Fortune 500 companies, right? We're still a minority, and that's in 2020. So when you look at this bar chart, this is 2 in 1998 to 37 in 2020. So this is the number, the number of CEO women are still a minority. Out of 500 companies, it's only 7.4% women. And actually only 3 of the 37 are women of color that are heading the top 500 companies. We've got this very slow progression and elevation of women into the C-suite and the top executive role is very slow. So much more work needs to be done to continue to pave the way for women, more women in CEO positions, and with equal compensation to men, because this is the other difficult news, which is frozen gender and racial pay gaps. So on the left, we see female CEOs get paid less, according to a Bloomberg study in 2019. So of the best paid executives, only 8% are women of the top 2,500 well-paid executives in S&P 500. Women executives on average, they earn $5.3 million, which is 18% less than their male counterparts. Across economic spectrum, women have fewer opportunities than men. So this is the challenge. If they rise up, they're just not getting the same equal compensation. And then on the right, US gender pay gap has minimal change in 2 decades. Pew Research Center in 2022, women earned an average of 82% of what men earned. And guess what? 20 years ago or 2 decades ago, women were paid 80%. We've only had a 2% gain in 20 years of salary. And unfortunately, here's a racial pay gap. African-American women pay is 63% of what white men are paid for the same job. The sad news is, in June of 1963, US Congress and President Kennedy signed the equal pay mandate. Men and women received the same pay for the same work, in the green bar at the bottom of this chart. 60 years later, we're far from complying with that legal standard. So it's puzzling when you look at this, that the gender and racial pay gap continues to be lagging. So I'm puzzled at the essential corporate compensation task here. Why are men and women paid differently? Part of the answer is that men will negotiate and negotiate harder for more money. And I also uphold the compensation specialists in organizations to be responsible to do a compensation audit. Some companies get called out by class action lawsuits. Google had it a couple of years ago where they rose up and they were insisting on an audit to the National Labor Relations Board. You know, that's good news because companies are then being held accountable to ensure that pay equity happens. So this presentation doesn't address these trends of the business case directly, but it does give us context. It does give us a sense of urgency for corporations to work harder at gender inclusivity, pay equity, women in leadership skills, curriculums, and sponsorship programs that prepare your talent recruitment and your pipeline. So let's look at the top 7 leadership challenges for women today. Women are held to higher standards, which is always the case. It feels like we're pushing a boulder or swimming upstream or pushing the boulder up the mountain because women always have a higher expectation and need to prove themselves. They're fighting gender stereotypes. Playing the game is more challenging for women unless you learn those competitive skills. You know, when you look at magazine covers when you're a teenager, it's what the latest lip shade is and, you know, what the latest hairstyle and, you know, what kind of purse to carry. And men are always about the sports and engaged in competitive, you know, when you look at what teen boys are looking at from a competitive standpoint, they learn early about how to navigate, and women are not necessarily given those opportunities. They are more so today than ever, because I think it's starting younger than what it was maybe years ago, depending on what generation you were raised in. Women manage many roles, elder care, family care, and other responsibilities that may take their time in terms of being able to focus only on their work and their career. Women may less likely take risks. So there's risk-taking, intelligent risk-taking, and being risk-averse. You may not be stepping out as much as you could to assert yourself in situations. The imposter syndrome and tall poppy syndrome are 2 things I'm going to give extra attention to today, because these are essential for us. I get asked all the time about imposter syndrome. I've done this workshop many times for hundreds of people over several years now, and this always comes up, so I put it in here. But in what way or how has your company prepared a gender-inclusive comprehensive talent system that overrides or levels the playing field in regard to these top 7 challenges? It's an important question for you to ponder and bring back to your organization. So the imposter syndrome, what is it? Well, it's the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally, despite being high performing and in external objective ways. So you appear successful, you've marked all the indicators, yet inside it doesn't feel that way. And it often results in people feeling like a fraud or a phony and doubting their abilities. So self-sabotage is one reason this happens. Women don't have the confidence, credibility, and capability because of negative self-talk. That's what's going on in our minds. So we need to, you know, quiet that negative self-talk and reframe it to positive. And also, if you don't find value in yourself, then you may not be communicating that value to influencers and stakeholders that are the people that can navigate or be a catalyst to your success. So what to do about it? Well, here's some antidote or advice, right? We talked about practical advice to inspire women to transform the workplace. Here's some practical advice. We want to look at the culture that may influence the self-doubt, first of all, because it can be cultural. You're going to hear that in the next slide about tall poppy syndrome. We all start somewhere. So give yourself permission to be where you are and know that you are chosen and you're in that room for a reason. Be kind to yourself and give grace, because we're all human and we're managing a lot in life. You reframe that negative to positive self-talk. Say it at the end of your day, I did a good job today. I'm proud of myself. It can be that simple. And, you know, I think that those words around like talking to yourself like you would talk to your best friend are also helping us redirect and reframe. Perfectionism has a role in imposter syndrome. It's one of the 5 types, but it's okay to say, I don't know, let me find out. We can't be expected to have all the answers. And when it happens, deal with it, cry, get over it, and move forward. Because guess what? Finding your confidence because people are looking to you to be a resilient leader is essential, not hiding in your office. So it's about that courage, it's resiliency, it's about being able to move forward. So the tall poppy syndrome is the final of the 7 challenges that I want to bring to your attention before we turn the tables and say what to do about all of this stuff is what the rest of the program is about. But it sets the stage for the challenges. So I've got 2 slides that are essential. You could do an internet search around tall poppy syndrome. There's a white paper to download, and then what I'm going to show you a visual on the next page is available. This organization, Women of Influence, that did this study, just in the first 2 months of this year, 4,700 respondents over 100 countries were polled. And this tall poppy syndrome occurs when people are attacked, resented, disliked, criticized, or cut down because of their achievements and/or success. So the more accomplished an individual is, the more likely she is to face aggressions, not only from those in position of a seniority, but also from her peers. And it determines the impact is around your talent retention, mental health, well-being, engagement, and your job performance. Women are affected by interactions in all segments of your daily organizational life, and it surrounds your success and accomplishments, where there's a silent systemic syndrome over how do I take this successful, ambitious woman down because I'm jealous, I'm sexist, I'm insecure, and I don't want her to be as good as she is, and I'm going to make it harder for her, and I'm going to sabotage her. So results are detrimental, basically. There's a significant impact on women in the global workplace. Plus, there's high costs to the organization. So women's success is under attack in workplaces around the world. And this is a lot of detail, so let me give you a couple of highlights from it. 86% or 87% of the respondents experienced this tall poppy syndrome at work. Who's doing the cutting down? Men were more likely to undermine a woman due to their success. How are they being cut down? Critical, downplaying achievement, being left out, being undermined, dismissal of achievement, others taking credit. So these sabotaging behaviors are happening. And the top reasons I listed before, the impact is stress, negative impact on self-esteem, burnout, etc. And guess what? It impacts the bottom line because the productivity of top women leaders are basically affected and undermined. And they may be penalized at work. 60% of respondents think they would be penalized for demonstrating their ambitiousness. So they hold back because they're afraid of the sabotaging behaviors. In being ambitious and being your best self at work every day is critical. And it's not a war for top talent, but it's retaining that talent, because 2/3 of the women want to leave their job because of this. And guess what? When they bring it to the attention of the business leaders, only 1 in 5 are encouraged to speak up. 4 out of 5, it's about shh, don't say anything, or we're not going to do anything about this. So these are challenges that we face. So I invite you to have a call to action for women leaders. Own your future, your success, your career, your skills, your development, your confidence, your voice, professional brand visibility, quick and engaged minds, body and your health decisions, and your strong, resilient, courageous spirit. So I'm going to invite you to step into being the change that you want to see in the world, because your future is bright. We all see these trends as an opportunity to give capabilities to women, give access to training, development, promotion, equal compensation, and sponsorship, because we need to shift the thinking. We need a transformation in the workplace to be able to reestablish women's value and to reestablish behavior that needs to be level playing field. And we need to call out and hold those people accountable for undermining and for sabotaging. So I'm going to invite you to be bold, be wildly successful. Internal self-correct. I want you to think about the simple way to remind yourself of the fundamentals. when you make progress from the left to right on these 3 columns. First, we address the internal self characteristics, being prepared and organize your strategy. Today's session is jumpstarting this conversation for where you are and where do you want to be, and how do you navigate the challenges that you're experiencing. Intelligent risk-taking is about courage. We're going to talk about courage a bit later. Being powerful yet humble, being assertive and decisive. These are internal characteristics that you reassert yourself. Then self-motivated actions have to do with developing your skills, communicating your goals, your aspirations. We've got a career aspiration guide for you to take with you, and we'll work on that a bit later. Listen, ask, observe, demonstrate your professionalism, step into that self-motivated actions because you want to be seen. And the actions you're going to take with others include asking for opportunities to prove yourself, ask for the mentor, ask for a sponsor, drive results, be visible, be vocal. So when you internalize this, you start to prepare yourself, you take actions, and then you engage with others to be bold and be wildly successful. So this is by no means an exhaustive list, but it gives you a framework for consideration. So I invite you to develop a new mindset. Making conscious choices with your strategy is about mindfulness, curiosity, and discovery. Know what you don't know, make a plan to find out. So when you're aware of these choices and you become a thought leader and you invite yourself to step into these innovation and the trends, you open your mindset. And with that new mindset, you can dream big and make conscious choices. So you've got your career, your life, your education. Everything we do every day is full of conscious choices. So when we draw on the resources like WCS programming and our mentorship program and other events and services that WCS provides, this is a safe place. This is your community. This is a place to go for the support, for the engagement, and for ways to start resetting, transforming, and evolving and emerging yourselves as leaders that will help you be who you are and who you want to be. So let me invite you to do a let's talk. Who in your life do you admire? And which women leaders are role models for you and why? So invite you to type in the chat or possibly open up your microphone. Anka, do we have any comments in the chat so far or questions that have come up? Because I'll take questions throughout our program today. I'm open to discussion at any point.
Nothing yet. Still waiting on for comments on this.
Okay,
topic.
that's okay. I didn't know if anything else had come up as we were talking. I'm glad to open.
Pam,
Yeah.
I'll throw out a question to you. Maybe if you can try to answer it maybe by the end of the session you can formulate your response. But having experienced some of the dismissive behaviors that you described,
Yes.
but throughout my career, not frequently, I've actually been pretty fortunate and lucky in that regard, but I've definitely experienced them. What advice do you offer so that we can self-arm ourselves to be prepared for kind of a calling it out, if you will? Like if you're in a situation and your boss, whether that boss is male or female, makes a statement that is clearly gender discriminatory or stereotyping or something, how do you call that out in a professional way?
So the short answer is with an authentic comment that's not explosive or emotionally charged. So you may need to, if you're in the moment and you see it, you may ask a question and say, why would that be relevant at this stage? What we want to do is look at capabilities. If it's maybe a debate between a man and a woman for a promotion, for example, and they're going to say, oh, the man's more qualified. Well, help me to understand why you say that. And is it just because he's more confident? Because men are very confident. Even when they're not as qualified, they're confident. So for example, if someone applies for a job, a woman will look at 10 bullets on the job requirements And if they meet 8 of the 10, they won't apply because they're going to say, I'm not qualified. A man looks at it and he'll be like, I got 5 of 10. I'm fully qualified. I'm going to apply. Right. So there's a mindset shift, but depending on every circumstance, if you realize it in the moment, I would ask a question. I wouldn't engage with an emotional reaction as best as you can. You might, you want to comment so that the person is, you make them aware. Because here's the thing, this is a whole skill in and of itself, and it's another topic we could teach or provide some research on, unconscious bias. So I have a program on cultural competence, cultural intelligence, which has to do with unconscious bias and microaggressions, because these are microaggressions and unconscious bias plays a role every day. That man may not have even realized his comment had a bias to it, and it was a microaggression against women, and that bias is driving his behavior. So you want to bring it to their attention without hitting them over the head with a 2x4, without being emotional in the response. And if it occurs to you later on, then I would go back to him and say, you know, I've had further consideration over this conversation. I'd like to share with you. And this is using a feedback model. I want to share with you my reaction. And as I realized it, I felt that your comment about X, Y, and Z really had a gender bias, and that unconscious bias brings to us, brings to mind, are we making a decision that has diversity and equality in respect to what we're trying to accomplish, whatever it is, assigning a project lead, promoting someone, etc. That's a short answer for now, but I certainly think it's a great question. Julie, that we could definitely do some research on unconscious bias and microaggressions, because those behaviors are rampant in the environment, and we want to make sure that we make people aware without using, a lot of emotion, because emotion shuts people down when you're then provoking possibly a conflict or a conversation. So more to come on that, but thank you for asking. Does anyone have a response to our let's talk question here? Let's bring someone forward.
I have, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Punum. She's asking, how is a sponsor different from a mentor?
I'm going to have that conversation with you shortly. That's in our upcoming slide. It's a great question, and we're going to answer that soon. What else? Anyone have some women leaders that are role models for you, and why?
A role model for me is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think she's just a force, and I think what makes her so admirable is her ability to stay so calm and collected, even with the most sexist and homophobic and racist people that she deals with. And she just doesn't stop what she's doing. I think it's just the perseverance for me.
She is courageous. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else have their thoughts together for a woman leader that's a role model? Well, make a note, because this is an action item for your learning plan that we talked about at the beginning, because I think once you start to see who you see in your life and what they mean to you, and what you might want to do is internalize their characteristics, do an informational interview, a networking conversation to learn about their journey, and to also find ways that you can take on some of the behaviors that you most admire, because that's the goal here. You've got role models in the world, and it could be Oprah, it could be, Susie Orman, because she's brilliant with finances. It doesn't have to be someone that you necessarily know. It could be someone in life, just like the mention about Ms. Cortez. Yep.
We have names, sorry, Pamela in the chat. Indra Nooyi, Michelle Obama, Ariana Huffington, Martha Stewart, Malika Chopra. Yeah, Susie Orman.
Yeah, those are all beautiful, absolutely, and very admired women. And I think that we have so much to look up to today, because women are so much more visible than they ever have been. So keep that list coming and internalize why they're role models for you and what you love about them, and how you might build that into your development plans and your career aspiration conversation. Yep. Good.
Deb
All right.
Holland.
All right, other thoughts? Can we move forward?
Yeah, nothing further in the chat.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to share my personal story about my Douglas College experience and my career path to give you some insights from where I was to where I am today. And then we'll get into the elevator pitch and the networking and what to do with it and mentors and sponsors. That's coming. So my personal experience was with Douglas College is an all women's college. It's one of the 7 sisters in the country about all women enrollment. And that experience was pivotal for me. It was a catalyst. So 39 years ago, I had an externship experience on winter break. I was a sophomore. I got to work in Merck Pharmaceuticals training department. 2 weeks hands-on experience with my career choice. It totally changed my life. It confirmed that I chose the right career path. And guess what? I pursued my academic path that supported that career path. So I chose my career and I backed into it with the academic path that arrived in my life. Many years later, I'm still in the same profession and more passionate and successful than I would have ever dreamed. So this is a moment in time for me, and I'm going to ask you what your moment in time is shortly. So my Red Pine Society Guide sweater from 1986 is pictured on the left here. This sweater is symbolic of my leadership role at Douglas, where I began my deep commitment to empower women. And I've been extending a ladder up to develop women, train them, and coach them since 1986. That's how young I was when I started to establish myself as a woman, as an advocate and dedicated to help women in their leadership. So on the right, you'll see how many women have you extended a ladder up to, because we need the multiplier effect. That's what WCS does, which is a commitment to creating an influential network for women to build their skills, build their sense of community, connect in and support them in every way possible to be thriving and to flourish in their careers. So we're extending a ladder up. We want you to think about paying that forward and extending a ladder up to other women, because that multiplier effect is going to impact people, as many people as we can reach into the world and the workforce. So to close out with my background here, it never occurred to me that I couldn't do whatever I set my mind to. Being a Douglas woman is essential. In the world today, Douglas women are known for excellence. And my mom and Douglas College allowed me to be free just to do. If I set my mind to something, it never occurred to me that I couldn't do it. So that's how I walked out of my education. And all these years later, it's based on who I am and how I establish myself. And, you know, I have to say, when you look at my bio today, the accomplishments, the credibility I've built, the relationships I've built to help people thrive and organizations build sustainable organizations it's just pure joy for me. I'm a career development board officer for WCS. I sit on the Women in Green Council for USGBC, and I'm also the VP of Leadership and Talent for NNJ Association for Talent Development. So I'm responding and giving back to the community, and what can I do that will help people. So, you know, my goal is to do everything that I know about helping people and developing coaching is what I do to demonstrate this. And my credentials are like alphabet soup, but I feel, you know, proud and accomplished, and that I'm dedicated to ensuring that I give you the best ideas. But it basically means that I love what I do. I'm qualified and dedicated to deliver great learning experiences, and I transform learning experience to business impact. That's what I do professionally, and I do things like this because it makes me happy and brings me joy. So, what significant life milestone or career accomplishment was a defining moment for you, and why? So here's our Let's Talk slide. I've shared my story. What's your story? And what was that turnkey moment that made a difference for you?
I'll share mine.
Absolutely.
This is Michelle. I think for me, a defining moment was when I was in high school, my junior year. I decided to go on foreign exchange for a year. That was a huge thing for me because I was a very shy high school student and terrified to like meet new people. Yet I had decided to throw myself into a completely different country for a whole year. And so I think that kind of triggered like a change in my life that I was completely responsible for.
Beautiful. And how different was it? What country did you visit?
I went to Portugal, and that was the intention, was to go somewhere where not too many people really knew the culture or the language, and I wanted something that was not familiar to other people as well as myself.
Beautiful. And that's a life experience. Visiting any company, any country is like a whole different world in terms of food, language, people, cultural norms. When you immerse yourself in another culture, and especially such a young age, I imagine that was game changing. What was that? What do you think your top highlight was that you took away from that experience?
Independence, just knowing that like I could be independent and make my own choices in my life. And my parents had very little influence on it and supported me completely in doing it. But definitely wasn't something that they would have recommended for me.
Well, and therein lies like, establishing your independence in the world and being able to take care of yourself, especially being abroad, is something that is a moment of maturity. And my hat's off to you. That's a great life experience. Thanks for sharing your story, Michelle. Other stories.
We have in the chat from Stephanie, making the right decision to leave a company I had been with for 11 years to leave when I asked them to pay me what I was worth, and they declined.
Oh my, Stephanie, that's huge. Thanks for joining. It's good to see you again. I think that is one of the greatest challenges we face today. And it took a lot of courage for you to ask for that, because you're negotiating your value. Anywhere you go, Indeed, salary.com, you can get information and benchmark what you're worth based on your geography, your job title, your experience, years of experience, and get an understanding of what the market pays and then what you're paid. Now, that also varies by company size, because that's tricky, right? So company size, you're with a smaller company, they're not going to pay you what a global company would pay you. So there's a lot of variables there. But if you established your value and you negotiated for it and they refused, I hope you got what you wanted in your next job. And I think that's a critical moment to acknowledge the gender pay inequity that we talked about in the 7 challenges earlier. It exists in spades today. 82 cents on a dollar for every man that a woman makes, what a man makes is an abomination. Like it drives me crazy.
So Pam, I have a question about that.
Sure.
So if as a woman, well, for women who would be interviewing for a job, and let's say they get a job offer and they get offered $80,000, should they automatically say, try to negotiate for 100?
Well, here's a good moment for us. I've actually defined that as an upcoming skill workshop for WCS as career development head. I've selected 4 topics. This is one of them. And we will be talking about how to talk about money at work and how to level the playing field for gender pay parity. That's a skill that every woman needs. And we're doing a workshop on it, probably, I would say, in the fall, because I want to make sure we hit the timing by which companies are doing performance reviews and you're starting to negotiate like what the merit increase is, and proving your accomplishments and being able to navigate, like, are your male peers making more money than you? And I want to invite the Pew Research Center to come talk to us, which is, if you do that, you could do a internet search right now for Pew Research Center and the gender pay parity study that was released from 2022. but we're going to invite the Pew Center to come and talk to us, and a compensation analyst, and about negotiating salary. And we're going to build your skill to talk about money at work. So you've got to have your ducks in order in terms of what your value is in the marketplace. That's benchmarking the salary, and also understanding your compensation structure at your job, and what's possible is it's very individualized, but you want to arm yourself with information. Maybe you can talk to a colleague that is not in the business, but might be able to assist you with HR compensation type of questions, and also do your independent research about what your role is worth in the marketplace based on your experience. Companies may or may not pay that. There's a lot of volatility in the market today generally because of the economic, the business issues, and the work, the world of work at large has been is still going through a volatile time. So career options and money are even more important today, but they are tougher conversations in my book, like with the tech sector contraction and the impact of other geopolitical forces and inflation and all the challenges with companies today. It's a tough conversation, but we're going to have it, and just not today. I'm glad for your question, Julie. We're going to do that.
Punum also commented related to that some companies have started publishing the salary range when posting the job. That's
yes. I think that's a brilliant observation, and I'll tell you why. Because everything was in the dark, and then one of the things is that you just don't know what a company is paying to know what to ask for, and where you fit in that range. That's a benchmark pay reference zone, which is what they call that. It's a market reference zone, which is the pay range for that job. If the compensation department has done a good job, they've benchmarked what that position is paying in the marketplace, and then they post a job ad and they put that reference zone, the pay range that they're willing to pay. And that's based on your experience and other factors that put you in that. Most times they'll start a person in the middle of that pay range, because that's gives you room for merit increases to grow to the upper end of that salary. But your years of experience, your degrees, your credentials, lots of things impact that what they're able to offer you. But the good news is it's transparency today that we've never had before. And there's information inside companies that is more transparent around pay. And states like New Jersey, where I'm based, right, we have a law that our governor passed that a company cannot ask for your prior salary on a job application. By law, they cannot ask what you made at your prior job, which levels the playing field, because if a woman's paid less, she doesn't have to disclose what her pay was, and they just need to be able to offer what the range is for that position. So it's more transparent and it's more upfront, because now companies are more willing to talk about salaries sooner in the interview conversation, and they don't hold it till the very end when they make an offer. And then they can't, in New Jersey, they can't ask you what you were making prior job. So I think we've made great strides, but there's more work to be done, because boy, women are still being underpaid compared to equal pay, equal work for men. So more to come on this. Anything else on the milestone or career accomplishment, defining moments?
Yeah, we have Susanna and Jacqueline both shared a little bit on the chat. I'm not sure how much time we have, if they both have time to go over that. Or
yeah, we're tight on time. So I want to can the stories quick? Can we give one or both of them 30 seconds, 15 seconds?
Susanna, you're first if you want to unmute, or I can read from your chat if you prefer.
Yeah, I can try. My internet's been a little wonky today. Yeah, but I transitioned from a job that I spent 10 years working in and going to school for, to do something totally new, working in sustainability. And it was a really big move for me, a huge transition, but ultimately was much more rewarding because I had a better work-life balance, better compensation, and still felt like I was doing meaningful work.
Nice. It's beautiful. Many people are looking for meaningful work today. Kudos on joining the sustainability women in sustainability ranks. All right, one other quick story. Let's roll.
Jacqueline, if you want to unmute yourself.
Sure, really quickly. Years ago, I was a practicing attorney and had to make a decision on whether I was going to join the partnership of a large law firm. And looking around, I just realized it wasn't for me. And so I think, my big encouragement is just because it's the mindset or the, the success goal of your industry doesn't mean that it's necessarily for you. So I launched a separate firm, and initially it was going to be just a small boutique law firm, and it developed into a consulting firm for startups and emerging companies. Ultimately, we focused on sustainability and energy, and it led to leading an energy technology company. So I closed that one down, the law firm consulting business down, and started working with a consulting company. So started working with an energy technology company. So the consulting firm was also really groundbreaking because we ended up being a group of women. All of us, we had a couple of men that worked with the company from time to time, but we had our kids in the office, our dogs, our animals. We had a flexible lifestyle, and it was an amazing environment for 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing. What a great story. And boy, we just don't know the twists and turns of our career, and we navigate them. And it sounds like you had a win-win-win in all of those changes. And I think there's something like people have I think 7 to 9 distinct careers, and lots of change happens. So beautiful, and welcome, and congratulations on those successes. So moving forward, let's talk about creating professional visibility. This is your elevator pitch, right? So what is the elevator pitch? Well, it's defined as a brief, persuasive self-marketing speech that you use to spark interest in you. 60 seconds or less, because it's about the length of an elevator ride. That's where it gets its name, with about 75 words. And it answers the question, tell me about yourself. So it's an icebreaker that opens a conversation with a very important person. So imagine you get into an elevator with an executive and he says, oh, tell me about yourself. 60 seconds, ride to the top floor with him. It should be interesting, memorable, and succinct. There's 4 elements of a great elevator pitch. You start by introducing yourself, provide a summary of what you do, explain what you want or the value you offer, finish with a call to action. There's 10 tips on the right side here. You're figuring out who you are when you're doing this construction. Know your strongest skills and experience, explain how you're an asset, quantify business results if you can, tell a good story, be clear and confident, take your time, make it conversational, avoid niche words, jargon, technical phrases that someone won't know, and express confidence. So these are 4 easy elements with 10 tips. How to write it? Well, here's my sample elevator pitch of 75 words, and then you guys are going to get to practice in 10 seconds. My name is Pam Sammarco. I'm delighted to meet you. My consulting firm is Green Training Associates, a full-service talent development firm. We develop people's capabilities to solve the world's challenges and build sustainable organizations. As a trusted advisor to our clients, we accelerate your business growth and performance with training, leadership development, onboarding, coaching, mentoring, and career solutions. We excel working with companies in sustainability, environmental science, life sciences, and technology. Would you like to meet to discuss your talent development priorities to drive business impact? So that's 75 words. Bam. Clean, crisp, direct, and provides sound bites on each of the elements. So y'all are going to get to practice. We're going to put you in pairs to develop a brief and powerful professional brand statement. There's an elevator pitch template in the chat window. I don't know if they could still see that, Joey, if we need to repost that. And I want you to read the guidance. It's a template where you could type into the right column. So it has the 4 elements in the left column, and in the right column, you can fill it in typing it. So download it to your hard drive, work with your partner in the pairs, and then we'll come back and have a sharing moment. So let me stop sharing. And here, who's got an elevator pitch ready to share? And it could be drafty. It's okay. Who's got the opportunity to step forward with something that they're proud of to share with us.
I can go. Since
All
it's
right,
going.
let's hear it. Yeah, give it a go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Poonam Agrawal. I work for NL North America, which is a large renewable energy developer in the US. And I lead our Western regulatory affairs, where I work with state regulatory commissions and other stakeholders in the marketplace to further our business opportunities related to EV charging infrastructure, renewable energy development, and grid services. I have over 15 years of experience in the energy industry, ranging from the public sector and the private sector, covering energy research and development, electricity transmission policy, and then local, state, and federal policy. And now I'm looking to meet people in the industry and network, and I look forward to meeting all of you.
Well, just extraordinary and so beautifully written. So you are just, role model in terms of how qualified you are, how competent, demonstrating that experience and inviting a networking conversation. I loved it. Anyone else like to share? Thanks so much for going first.
Sure.
Outstanding. 75 words is tough. I know that's 60 seconds, but boy, it really packs a powerful punch when you can be articulate and precise, concise. So practice, 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 make it conversational, try it out with your colleagues. We're recommending that you link in with each other. So I would love for you to make sure that you connect and you could practice your elevator pitch with each other in a virtual coffee. Any other volunteers? Okay, we got a nervous bunch. It's all good. We're going to talk about courage shortly. You can't get away without courage. That's at the end, but it's an important topic and a skill. So let's forge forward. If you change your mind, we totally want to hear from you. But continue to refine it and practice it out loud until it becomes natural and conversational, which is kind of cool because then it's just like it rolls off your tongue. And guess what? We're going to talk about how to, where and when to use your elevator pitch, because it's time to get really comfortable talking about yourself, your accomplishments, and the results that you produced for your business. Because this is what makes you connected to people when they decide that you're a person that is credible and that you're worth listening to. Okay, so I'll invite you to think about, where is your golf course? Men play golf to build relationships, make business deals, and network. So guess what? This is our golf course. WCS is your golf course and your community, because women might play golf too. But if not, you find other places like Women Initiatives, WCS, inside and outside your organization, that is your place to go. And your goal at the bottom, you see the gray banner, is to foster a connection with an inner circle of trusted advisors and have sounding boards to socialize new ideas, tackle business challenges, and create visibility for the results you produced. So Women in Cleantech and Sustainability Organization is a primary place to build your inner circle and gain support toward your professional objectives and your career goals. I applaud every single one of you for showing up today, and Joey and our volunteer team, thanking you very much, because we know how powerful our golf course can be. Link in with each other. Schedule a virtual coffee conversation, because this is networking. This is what you do, present your elevator pitch and what the ask is for someone. And even if it's just sharing ideas once in a while, linking in is only as good as building the connection once you've linked in with a person. I regularly say, can we grab 30 minutes and have a virtual coffee conversation, because I want to get to know you. because some people are super users and they've got 25,000 people in their LinkedIn network, but it's not meaningful. So if you're curating a small group of your network that's carefully selected and people that you get to know well and that you have a relationship with, that's what triggers the connection. And building your golf course connections is essential for a woman to be successful today. So places to where and when you'll use your elevator pitch inside your company. Any of the list on this set of bullets here are places to go. And let me invite you to add ideas to this initial list, right? Direct leaders, mentor sponsors. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Project leaders, stakeholders, executive conversations, company affinity groups for women and minorities. This is the place to network inside your company. This is why your elevator pitch is important for you. Networking outside your company. Where and when do you use this elevator pitch outside? Professional and trade associations, business women networks, alumni associations, networking events, professional conferences. These are the ways that you position yourself with visibility, and you're elevating who you are, what you do, the results you produced, why you're qualified and experienced, and why they should listen to you and take note of you. So here's the answer to the earlier question. Mentors, career coaches, and sponsors, why you need them. Well, let's look at the differences. So a mentor and a career coach is on the left here. A mentor takes a more holistic approach, offering guidance over a time period. A career coach will create and manage a specific development plan with a defined set of goals. Both career coaches and mentors will help you help yourself and promote personal growth. They're really good, essential roles in your life and very different than a sponsor. So let's look at the sponsor on the right. Sponsors promote you directly. They're using influencing power and networking to connect you to good jobs and special assignments. There's someone who advocates, opens doors, removes obstacles, and elevates your visibility to new opportunities. This is a person that's actually in your corner, knows what you can do, and wants to support you in an explicit way and wants to open those doors for you. So that's the difference. You could have mentors, career coaches, and sponsors. You need maybe all or one or two of them, but essentially your ability to get connected within your business. And you could have a sponsor outside your business, but sponsorship is a very, very special relationship. It's a trusted relationship, and it's one that's going to push the go button and be a catalyst for you. The mentor and career coach are developmental, promote your personal growth over time, and they're the stepping stones to your preparation. So let's talk about the role of mentor, sponsors, and career coaches in your aspirational career conversations, because this continues to be the time to get really comfortable talking about yourself, your accomplishments, what your dreams are, from where you are to where you'd like to be. So aspirational career conversations, what are they? Well, it's an intentional dynamic plan to plan to action that advances your long-term career goals, either within the same organization or supporting your transition between organizations. Your plan may seek opportunities to learn, practice, and demonstrate leadership skills, projects, teams, manage staff, manage interns. So when I say the word career, let me be clear, we mean building your life's body of work. So a career is all-encompassing. It's not a single job or a project or an opportunity. But I want you to think more broadly about how to layer your job experiences over time. Your first decision is whether your career conversation is going to happen within your company or outside, because whatever or wherever you are, you're networking inside and outside your company. You want to be prepared with the content of your plan. And we're going to give you some time shortly to build your aspirational career conversation using the guide document, the handout we put in the chat. That's going to be the starting place, but you want to just you want to sit with these ideas, and it's an internal process first, where you're absorbing where you are and thinking and dreaming big about where you want to be. So you'll be, planning your strategy, knowing what you want and being prepared with the action plan will enable you to have, to have productive conversations. And then you find opportunities, like we said, where's your golf course, right? That's when you have these aspirational conversations happen, ideally with the VIPs in your life that are going to support you. So if you see your next step in future within your current organization, your manager's role is to inspire, guide, and support your career development. That's not just overseeing your daily work, but it's overseeing your career path within an organization that you're working. And those career conversations between managers and employees are the single most important factor in building, motivating, and developing a highly skilled professional workforce. It's one of the number one retention factors that a manager can do, is make sure that an employee has a career path, and that whether your goal is to transition to another department, elevate within your department to the next level of role, whether you want to be a people leader or an individual contributor, whether you want to develop deeper expertise, or whether you want to work across the business in different ways. All of these things are important parts of your conversation with your leader. But these career conversations are becoming more difficult because of the times we're living in, the tumultuous economic times, job loss, corporate restructuring, merger acquisitions, financial worries. These are taking its toll on career plans, which is why I am so proud that each of you showed up today and you're taking this next step. You're jumpstarting where you are in your career, you're establishing your voice, and you're planning your elevator pitch and your career conversations. Because guess what? The strategies and tactics will continue to change in organizations today. That affects your career options. This means that you've got to be flexible, adaptive, and responsive, and proactively capitalizing on opportunities that present themselves during the organizational change and growth. You want to keep your finger on the pulse of your organization. What's the direction it's taking? Are they going to be part of an emerging set of, emerging technology? Is it going to grow and acquire? Are there adjacent divisions that might be interesting for your background and you took a starter job and you want to move within the organization? Do you want to elevate into a leadership role and oversee a team, a department, a division, depending on the size of your company? These are all possible if you start positioning yourself and start planning your career path, and engaging your leader in that conversation is essential. And being proactive, because when organizational change happens, poof, there's opportunities, and you want to be ready to capitalize on those opportunities. So you look in this 3-column chart. What your conversations are in the left column. With whom you're going to these aren't one for one, but you want to think about what conversation you want to have, who are the right people to join that conversation, and what your readiness plan is when you speak with them. So performance reviews, next level job, stretch goals, rotational assignments, project lead assignments. You want to get ready for those. And dreaming big, identify where you are in your current state, what the future state is or your career path, list your current capabilities, plus identify new capabilities. Do you need credentials or certificates? Stackable credentials are really important today. What's that path for your development needs that will help further your career goals? And of course, skills, and more skills. You keep building your skills today. And we're in a continuous learning mindset. Someone said their goal today was, continuous improvement and growth mindset. We will continue forever to need that, because your education is not one and done. So this is the opportunity for you to start thinking about the aspirational conversation and develop a draft today. So Joey put the hands out for aspirational conversation guide in the chat. We're going to give you about 10 minutes, and you're going to go into your pairs again and just talk. if you want to type into your guide, or if you just want to review what I described, which is also in the guide, it's really up to you how you structure this discovery and exploration with your partner. What I would offer in the guide, I'll call this out, is that there is a section at the back. So if you're at a place where you just don't know, there's something called Plan a Deeper Dive in Career Exploration on page 5 and 6. So if you feel you just don't know where you are and what you need, that's a bunch of sentence starters that are going to meet you where you are. But for the most part, you could just start with the first page in the first section and just start talking. Where are you? What do you need? What is your dream? So, Joey, are we ready to do a breakout? Let's give them 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect.
Go back
Start.
with your pairs. Let me ask any questions before we break. All right, then let's roll. See you in 10.
Stephanie, I need to move you to a breakout room. Let's see. I think were you with Poonam and Susanna?
That's correct.
Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to add you to this one. Off you go.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, so we are back on track with our timing. 5:35, we'll bring them back, take some debrief comments and move into the final section of 6 factors of workplace success. And then take Q&A and jump back into the WCS closing slides.
Perfect.
35 minutes left. How's it going?
I'm sorry, I need to leave a little bit earlier.
Sure.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for an interesting topic. Nice to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to meet
you.
you as well. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
your insights at the start and for volunteering.
I'm sorry for leaving early. Bye.
No problem at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do any of the volunteers want to jump into a breakout to do career aspiration? You're welcome to move yourself. Michelle does, okay.
Michelle, I'll just randomly assign you if that's okay.
Yeah, you're on mute. Michelle, you're on mute.
Okay.
Okay. Divya, do you want to practice? Julie, either of you want to go?
I'm going to pass because I can't really write or type right now. So
Oh, I was thinking about you. You know, an idea occurred to me the other day. Did you know when you're recording a Zoom, you can actually get a transcript of the recording?
yes.
So maybe that's an answer for the note taking,
Yeah. And then
like the meeting minutes the other day.
yes, absolutely. And if I didn't have any volunteers for it, that's what we would do. For sure.
Yeah. And you just, I mean, it takes a little bit of work because you have to fine tune it, but you know, it does the note taking for you. So I was like, oh man, I should have mentioned that to you.
Yeah, that's all right. Thanks.
It's hard to type and write and then talk and, you know,
Yeah,
taking
exactly.
notes is, you know.
It's hard enough to do it when I can use my hands.
I can't believe you're still in a cast in a brace. What, how long is that going to be? Is
So-
that like a 6-week deal or what?
Probably at least, I think, probably another 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
That's convenience.
It is what it is.
So,
Yeah.
so you've learned about adaptability at this point.
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
will share a very fun story. I was running with our nearly 100-pound dog, and when he was a puppy, and I tore the muscle and ligament off of my elbow, and my doctor said a break would have been much better than this, and it was awful. I was in like a robotic arm for a while, but it was getting close to summertime, so it's hot, and I want to put my hair in a ponytail, and I need my husband to help me. And he said, "This is what we're going to do. I'm going to take the vacuum hose, put your hair tie over the end of the vacuum, suck all your hair up, and then slide the hair tie down. I said, absolutely not. I'm going to adapt and find a better solution for this.
Yes.
Spoken like a man. Just can I just say, men come up with these ideas. Oh boy, such a creative guy, really
Yeah.
trying to problem solve and seemed to be really wanting to be helpful.
Yeah.
But
I was,
Bless his
you also
heart.
like all of your hair. You just can't predict what's going to happen with the suction thing. I don't know.
No.
that's just, yeah, that's not the best application of that technology. I did
No.
have my husband do ponytails for a couple of weeks, and they would always turn out to be over here.
Uh-huh. Yeah. They were not pretty.
Oh,
Not pretty,
brilliant.
yeah.
Oh my.
No.
Oh boy. And my girlfriend she's in a cast also, where she's got a brace because she fractured something inside a bone, like, and she's been to a hand specialist and stuff, but she's like tied up for like 6 or 8 weeks in a thing too. And she's like, climbing the wall. And she's like, I can't. And she's a massage therapist and physical therapy aide. So everything is about like using her hands. And she's like going, are you kidding me? I can't believe I did this. And she just stepped wrong on the sidewalk getting into her car. Like, like the curb and the driveway had like a little like ledge, and she stepped funny and down she went and bam.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So
It was,
quickly.
yeah, very frustrating. And I do this piece when I teach change leadership as a topic, and we talk about like ways to adapt change and behaviors, like daily habits. One of them is like brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, right? Taking a different road to work, different route to work, and doing a little change every day that helps you start to adapt. And yeah, you're like role model adapting. Oh boy. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm halfway there.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you start to figure things out, but definitely crummy. So all right, so let's see.
About 3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes. Good job. Thanks for everyone's support today. Good program. We'll repeat it next week. I guess it's good to have 2 deliveries, right? I mean, we're starting to get traction, and I feel like it's important to recognize the different, trying to accommodate different time zones. But I don't know if people like during the day. It's something we're working on. So any feedback we can have from an event standpoint during the day, at the end of the business day, I don't know if people prefer to join during the workday or after work. Sometimes is family time. So I don't know if it improves our attendance to do one or the other.
I wonder if it might make sense to share like a little letter that people can give to whoever they're reporting to get them out of it, like a school excuse slip type thing.
Well, might be more interesting if we decide to do a certificate of learning for them, like like a frameable, like electronic, WCS training completion certificate. Took this workshop, was 2 hours, and people might use it for continuing education credits or to show a boss that they've achieved a skill.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it might be cool to do that, Joey. Yeah, so good. Yep, so we'll just repeat this next Thursday from 1 to 3 Eastern time, and we've got a good batch of turn up for that. Same time, different time, same bat channel. How does that go? Who's a Batman fan?
Same bat time, same bat channel.
You got it. I'm Batman. Alrighty. So, yeah, I mean, Julie, you brought up some really tough questions. Pay equality, dismissive behavior. Boy,
Yeah, and I think for a lot of the guys in particular, you know, women too, but mostly men, you know, they just don't know. Right? They just don't even realize when they're doing it.
they truly don't.
And I find that when I call it out in a very, you know, non-threatening way, you know, it kind of just like they wake up, it's like they snap out of it. You know?
And are they surprised? Do they respond with a change is the best question. Like, is the outcome different because you raised the issue?
Yeah, it almost always is, right? Right.
Oh,
Sometimes it was their idea too, but you know, that's another,
it's definitely, you know, I mean, I've got war stories, boy, like you, and it's definitely not always an easy path.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've got so many requests from people who want to do workshops. I have to say, we've got to do something about I'm deluged right now with people who want to do workshops for WCS.
Okay, breakout rooms are closing.
Oh, good.
We've got 25 seconds, and it looks like, Leslie, that you were able to rejoin us. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We just wrapped up breakout rooms. Pam, do you want to share with her quickly what they were working on in there?
Sure. We were doing our career aspiration guide, career conversation aspiration guide. So that handout is in the chat window, and basically just starting to plan aspiration conversations for where you are, where you want to be. And it's a career guide that has a lot of different elements to it, but it was more of a discovery discussion for 10 minutes. We'll take some feedback. Welcome back, everyone. Jumping back into our session. All right. So who's got light bulb moments they want to share? How was your career aspiration conversation? Open your mic, right in the chat window.
I can speak. So I think I was in the group of 3. We had.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit.
In the document, but I did just want to, Poonam had a really great question at the end for me, which was like, why do I want to do this? And I thought that was really helpful to like think about the why, like why do you want to, you know, have this career aspiration? So that was something that I found really helpful for me.
Excellent. It's cool to have a mirror hold up to you, right? That's why we do this in pairs. Nice going. All right. What other comments would you like to share?
I think for me, I just really appreciate the guide. I think sometimes I don't sit down and really think about it and document it. I think for so much of my career, it's like chasing titles, right? Of like, okay, I got this, like now what? What's the next title? And I think I've kind of reached a milestone where it's not about the title. It's more about the quality of work I'm doing and the balance and like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? So I just appreciate the guide of having those thought starting questions. And I think for me, I just want to spend the time. So I kind of talked about it in our breakout session of giving advice to sit down and you know, have a cup of coffee or tea and, you know, somewhere outside of your desk and think about it. But really, I think I was giving the advice to myself too.
Excellent. And Hina agrees. She had her applause up in her reaction. You know, it's interesting because this is our life's body of work is an entire career, and it has many layers to it. And sometimes we're so busy in the career and not looking that 50,000 strategic foot, right? Which is 50,000 foot strategic view, instead of just being in that day-to-day fighting fires, fire drills, you know, what's next. And you know, our achievements this allows us to, first of all, be really proud of ourselves, because when you do that, Cassie, all of a sudden it's breathtaking. When you think about everything you've accomplished, when you look at your LinkedIn profile, when you look at your resume, when you look at your career aspiration guide, this is a moment to be proud of every hard-earned moment that you made those accomplishments, you've made the achievements, you've navigated challenges, and you are amazing just the way you are. And I think that that's the most authentic comment I can make for you, is just to be proud of everything you've done. And the question really is, how do you bring all of that together and create a good story? That's part of the elevator pitch, right? Because you're then giving a concise summary of all of those thoughts. And then you're able to also think about yourself more broadly. Like Jacqueline said about meaningful work and moving into different roles. And you brought that up as well, Cassie, which is, I love what I'm doing every day where it doesn't feel like work anymore. That's the ideal moment. And that's what brings us most joy. And that really attracts so many women to WCS, because everyone has that same purpose-driven mission, and that passion overpowers, what would be just a standard job in our field. But this is that extra layer. So excited to hear from you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else would like to share, or should we go into the final leg of our program today?
I can share quickly. Sorry, Pam. Even though I wasn't in the breakout, but I got the context of what the conversation was. And one thing for me recently, in talking to a recruiter, they actually asked me to go through my experience from the start of my career till now. And it was eye-opening to talk about the things I'd done for 25 years. To your point, you forget a lot of those accomplishments. And one thing that I noticed, though, when they wrote up a dossier and sent it off for the role, and I got a copy, I noticed that when I talked about my experience, oftentimes I was moving from one role to the next because there was something wrong with the company or the management or the role, versus talking about it in a way that positioned me as I was always looking for something new, to expand my skill set, to learn something new, to have something additional I could give to a company. So that was just one thought of, as we talk about our experience of all of the reasons why you've moved from one to the next in a positive light, versus there was a reason you were leaving a place.
Oh, that's a really excellent point. That's wonderful advice. I think that's important, because you created a perception unintentionally. It has then created them like, will she leave us in a couple of years for the next good thing? And that's where companies are starting to look at, that reasons for the movement. So having the ability to articulate it. So, for 3 of my 4 jobs, it was either restructuring or merger acquisition. That it was in my 24-year global corporate career. My movement was based on changes in the organization. 1 was restructuring, and 2 were merger acquisitions that eliminated my position. So it's weird when you start to think about like how you're perceived with that. The other important tip is what I heard is being able to tell that story. I have a resume that's many pages long, and I've documented all of my experiences at each of the jobs and in my business. So it's a cumulative resume that's not something I ever send to anyone, but it has like everything I've done. To your point, Leslie, remembering things like I have actually been more years of career than you. Remembering back that far, I've been able to accumulate this summative resume. And then sometimes for positioning purposes, when I'm doing a professional profile as an executive coach or a facilitator or design, like I take elements of that and I form, an experience document, whether it's a resume or profile that I'm sending to someone. So it's interesting because then you can use all of that, and then you're not having to recreate it from memory, and that all of it's documented. So anyone that has the opportunity to sit down and do that kind of end to end, that makes that kind of a question easier as well. All right. Well, let's move forward and make sure that we get closed on time. Thanks for sharing, everyone, with their ideas. So here's my, when I coach and train people, I'm often asked about how I can help them build their confidence. Well, guess what? I invite you to think about building confidence as an outcome of developing your leadership capability, because the more capable you are, then you present yourself with confidence, And that's when you become more articulate, stronger, more prepared. So developing your strength and confidence comes with that preparation, and to be successful in responding to new situations. And experience is a great teacher. So 6 job success factors. Let's talk. What are some of the on-the-job behaviors that you can use to be successful at work? This is our last chat slide before I talk about the 6 key success factors, and then we'll have some open discussion with the remaining time. And Joey will then take us to close with a couple of WCS slides. So who would like to offer what some of the on-the-job behaviors are that you can use to be successful at work? Anka, any chats coming through?
Nothing yet. Helping each other, promoting we versus I, active listening, ask questions.
Beautiful. Excellent. All true. Keep
Be
those.
proactive. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Say again.
Be proactive.
Be proactive. Yes. Beautiful.
Speak up.
Speaking up. Absolutely. I find another one is to be asking for what you want, because guess what? The answer will always be no if you don't ask. And that's one of the 3 simple rules of life. But that's not one of my 6. So that's an extra one. You got a bonus today. Okay, so 6 key success factors to position yourself with credibility, capability, and confidence. I'm going to have a slide on each of these. So very high level, first impressions count, build relationships in your network, positive language equals charisma, values at work equals credibility, trust equals power and influence, and courageous leadership. So let's hit on each of these. First impressions are lasting impressions. People form an impression about you in the first 2 minutes. In fact, people make 11 assumptions in the first 7 seconds of meeting you. And I'm a psychologist. This is a cognitive process, psychologically true. Then they spend the rest of the time verifying that their first impression is correct. Think about that. They form an impression in the first 2 minutes of meeting you. That's why your elevator pitch for 60 seconds is the first of those 2 minutes. They've already made 11 assumptions about you in the first 7 seconds of meeting you. And then they're verifying that their first impression is correct. So, important. Now, relationship building in your network is critical. We talked about your elevator pitch inside and outside your organization, and networking and finding your golf course, that set of inner circle advisors. Well, you know, this is the second of our 6 factors about relationship building. We may find socializing in business situations to be awkward. And when called upon in work situations to be social, you can use this guide for making small talk simple by using the acronym FORD, which is family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Very simple, how to socialize in business situations. These are the topics that you can talk about just to make it comfortable, right? Because we want to avoid things that would be inflammatory, religion, politics, and those kind of subjects that can be divisive and polarizing. So our third success factor is positive language equals charisma and a can-do attitude. So people are drawn to and want to follow and be around charismatic leaders who have an optimistic and a progressive outlook. Using positive words to express what's possible equals the can-do attitude. And negative language shuts people down and creates obstacles. So walking the positive talk, as all great leaders do, on the left, say what can be done. Suggest alternatives and choices available if an obstacle comes up. You're helpful and encouraging, but not bureaucratic. You stress positive actions and positive outcomes. And when you use negative language, you create barriers. You're saying what can't be done. Watch even words that you use can be perceived as negative or negative emotions. It could have a subtle tone of blame, using words like can't, won't, unable. You want to say what you can do, not what you can't do, or what's possible in a situation that arises that is a call for action. And if you stress negative actions or consequences, you're a person that they would want to avoid. So your charisma is going to be based in positive language and positive emotions. And I'm not saying Pollyanna positive, but I'm saying you're facing a situation with courage and resilience when there's difficulty, and you want to say, well, what can we do? How can we solve this problem? Let's collaborate. And that's where diverse perspectives come in, because the more diverse a team is, the more innovative the team is. When you're homogeneous, you have less innovation and less less collaboration with people that are not as diverse. You end up with not as effective in the solutions. So interesting, but you want to bring the right perspectives together. Diversity is not just race, it's department, geography, personality type, different divisions or different teams. Diversity in the big sense is beyond just race and religion and ethnic background. So our fourth success factor, values at work equal credibility. So building credibility through demonstrating your values in your daily behaviors is essential. How do you show up at work? How do colleagues and leaders perceive you? So your personal and business values are fundamentals of bringing your best self to your job every day. So these look, it's not an all-inclusive list, but it certainly is a good running start for bringing your best self. And creating credibility means that you're doing these things. The other way to create credibility and trust creates power and influence. So this fifth success factor is trust. Consistency between your words and your actions builds trust over time. And when you have trust, you have power and influence. Because people trust you, then they're going to give you the power and empowerment and influencing role over decisions. Transparency is also critical to trust. Trust takes years to earn and seconds to break. And people don't trust words, they trust actions. So do what you say you're going to do when you commit to doing it, because that's consistency from words to actions. Communicating openly and honestly, provide all necessary information, and tell the truth even when it's not what the other person wants to hear, and admit mistakes. So trust is earned by demonstrating these traits consistently over time. A trustworthy individual is someone who demonstrates integrity, honesty, and reliability. So you're showing up for yourself and for others and positioning yourself for a position of power and influence because people trust you and they believe you. So The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey is one of my all-time favorite books. It's called The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. So our sixth and final success factor is stepping into the courage zone. Well, guess what? I want to talk to you about what happens when you're really afraid. What do you do about this fear? Well, if you can convert your feelings of fear into feelings of excitement, it's a way to reframe the negative self-talk into positive self-talk. It would be a way to create a more courageous act, and it would be easier. But guess what? Courage is not fearlessness. In fact, courage is fearful. So we feel the fear and do it anyway is the mantra when we're talking about courage as a skill. So it's precisely when your knees are shaking, when your heart is racing, your palms are sweating, that you feel most courageous. As long as you're moving through your fear is what's going to be powerful for you. So the act of being courageous is an uncomfortable thing. So being courageous isn't easy. And if it were, more people would be courageous more often. So my moment of courage is when I started my business. After 24 years in 4 globals, I always wanted a consulting practice. So I stepped forward, built a strong professional network over time. I had 2 business mentors to guide me. I formed an advisory board of experts. I attended women entrepreneur programs, made mistakes, learned a lot. But in my business of 14 years, really extraordinary, successful engagements, and it doesn't feel like work anymore. And I was awarded one of the best 50 women in New Jersey business a couple of years ago. So this picture is from my first trade show. It was so much fun, but it took nerves of steel, because being a business owner and running a business is very different than doing what I love in talent development and training. So life in organizations. If courage is the first virtue in life, then it's the first virtue in organizations too, because it takes courage to try something new, a first attempt, pioneering, making bold decisions, becoming innovative and creative in the change process. So leadership takes courage. And if you get courage right, a lot of other things fall into place. Now, when things don't fall into place, here are some helpful guidelines for how to recover from mistakes. As we've just got a couple of slides, we're heading into the home stretch here. When you recover from a mistake, pull yourself together. Apologize immediately and authentically. Own the consequences, no blame, no excuses. Clean up any mess. Whatever you can do to repair the damage, take any actions needed. Don't dwell on it, because failure is success if we learn from it. So learn from it, move forward, and ideally don't repeat that mistake, because then it's a pattern of behavior that has a warning sign of performance issues. But the way we see it, mistakes are an essential part of growth when it comes to your career path. Learn to be accountable, forgive yourself, make improvements for the future that will keep you moving forward in a positive direction. So I'll leave you with one of my favorite quotes, as they've got just this slide and question and answer, and then we'll close with some slides from Joey. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. And that's Marianne Rodmacher. So allow me to open it up for any burning questions. And then I have a quick slide to remind you of a couple of things. All right, then let's review your action plan. Did you get your umbrella out? What are your key learnings from today? How did you do? Did you find ideas that motivated you to change? Did you collect ideas for at least 3 actions to take with you? I hope you were taking good notes, and you've got your 2 handouts as really useful tools. So, if you want 1 year of prosperity, grow grain. If you want 10 years of prosperity, grow trees. If you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people, especially women. It's an ancient proverb edited by me. So I'm going to invite you to keep in touch, link me in, follow me on YouTube and Twitter, and I'm glad to make continued conversation and connection with you. I'd like to thank WCS for hosting. I'm delighted to have Joey's help and our volunteer team who did everything possible to make this a great event for you. Hopefully you built good skills. I could see the muscles already being built. Great conversation, great questions, and allow me to stop sharing and invite Joey to close. Anka?
Sorry, Pam, one question in the chat.
Yes.
From Hina, sorry. What is the best way to ask someone for a mentorship or sponsorship?
That's a great question. I would start with your aspiration conversation guide and know what your goal is and know what that person's role is to invite them into supporting you. And if you can, what's in it for them to support you, and why they're important to you, and make sure that if you can do anything for reciprocity, always find that helpful in terms of being able to, like if someone supports me as, provides me with a business referral, I send them a business referral gift. Or if someone has been helpful to me, I might write a LinkedIn recommendation for them. So I'm grateful for Susanna to join us. Thank you. I know she's dropping. I hope that answers your question. Because I think that it's essential to know what you're asking and how the person's going to be helpful, what you could do for them, and how long you need their help for. So, and outline what that plan is or do that with them. But it's so important to do your preparation and your homework before you invite someone in. What are the questions? Thank you. I hope that was helpful, Hina.
It was, thank you.
Excellent. All right. Then Joey, take it away. Thanks so much for everyone's participation. I hope to see you at future WCS workshops. If I can help you out in any way, let's connect on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. Joey, it's up to you to bring it home with a couple of final slides.
Thank you so much, Pam. And thank you so much to all of our attendees. Pam, thank you for sharing your knowledge and guiding us through this discussion. You're just incredible. And that last quote about courage, just that one got me. But also I want to give a big thank you to all of our volunteers. We couldn't have these events without our fabulous volunteers. And if you enjoyed this event, we have more. Mark your calendars for these upcoming events. You can also see all of these on our website. And in case you didn't know, WCS has merch. So go ahead and scan the code there to check out the merch store and use the code WCS15OFF for 15% off your purchase. And here's our social media in case you're not following us. And that is all I have for you. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope to see you at our next event. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you.